mine. I work for First 5 Alameda County. I am the program administrator and co-founder of the Alameda County Fathers Corps. And I've been doing this work since about 2013. I'm fortunate enough to be raised by my dad and my stepmom, and my dad had 4 brothers that are still part of my life. And so I was very, very fortunate to be surrounded by great, great men my entire life. So that's one of the reasons this work is close to my heart. I'm also a dad myself. My oldest daughter is 25. My middle daughter is 21. And then my youngest son is 17, a senior at Skyline here in Oakland. So another reason this work is very close to my heart. So today's topic is listening and hearing the voices of fathers and understanding the voices of fathers. So we've got a few videos we're going to share today. We've got some breakouts that we're going to do. And for those of you who were part of the kickoff last month, what we're bringing back, and for our Fathers Corps members who have been part of at this table for several years now, you remember when we were meeting in person, we used to start every workshop off with finding someone you don't know, introducing yourself, sharing a little bit about your work that you do at your organization, and just building a network, learning what other folks are doing, how other folks are serving families. And so I wanted to bring that back. Once we got into this Zoom platform, we kind of got away from that just because we shortened our workshops to 2 hours instead of 3. And it was really just finding our sea legs on this whole Zoom thing. So I can't promise that I won't talk while I'm muted because that happens every time. I'll do my best. But before we get into that breakout, the first breakout, I just want to go over some Zoom basics. I know we've been doing this for a while, but like I said, I still start talking while I'm on mute or whatever. So if you can please mute yourself if you are not talking. If you can also please share your screen. Turn on your camera if you're comfortable. Obviously, if there are things going on and you're not able to do that, I understand. But we'd like you to share your turn on your cameras if possible. If you have a question, comment, or thought, we'd also like you to use the raise hand feature or put it in the chat. If something resonates with you, feel free to put that in the chat as well. So that's a little bit about the Zoom basics. And I am going to share my screen now so I can walk you through the agenda for today. Our first step today is going to be our introductions and networking. We have a couple of videos so you can hear from dads themselves. There's going to be some breakout discussion after those videos. We did a report back in 2015 with fathers who were not engaged in the lives of their children. And I'm going to share with you some of the feedback we received from those dads and what we learned from that experience of having those focus groups. We're going to another breakout about breaking barriers, key partners to change the system, and then we'll wrap up and get out of here by 1 o'clock. So our first, I'm supposed to be in presentation mode, so you don't see all my notes. Our first breakout, there are going to be 3 of you in a room. We're going to spend about 10 minutes, so 3 minutes each. If you can just share your name, your organization, describe the services that you and or your agency provides, and then how long have you been involved with the Fathers Corps? And it's okay if this is your first training. That's good information to know. But I just want to point out that we have hosted some more photo shoots with local dads. So we have new images in our Diversity of Fatherhood photo bank. So if you haven't accessed our photo bank, please do. If you have accessed our photo bank but haven't done it lately, we've got maybe about 100 new images in there. So check them out. And I think we are ready for the breakouts. These are the questions: name, organization, describe your services that you or your agency provide. We're going 3 in a room. So if you can spend about 3 minutes each, that'll get us to about 10 minutes and we'll come back.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open all the rooms.
The questions are in the chat also. Thanks, Fairbank.
No problem.
Tell you, we'll put the link to the photo bank in the chat. everybody. We'll give folks another minute or so to transition in from the breakout rooms. Hopefully you guys met someone new, learned something new about some services that are being provided out there, and made some connections. That's the whole point of that part of the training. Welcome back, welcome back. All right, is everybody back, Virve?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I'm gonna go into a couple of short videos. And can I get a thumbs up if you can hear it?
You don't realize it. He's sucking up everything that you're doing.
I think the proudest moment is just
Oh, sorry.
knowing that I'm a dad, like that I was gonna be a dad.
That's mine.
Yeah, that's me.
I feel like a winner, man. I feel like life kind of started when I had that.
Yeah.
It's like now I can slow down and look at stuff and evaluate, and everything matters. Every dollar matters. Everything I do matters.
But it's like the best thing ever, you know what I'm saying? Just to know I have a reason to be in here.
I don't go out. I stay home with my son as much as I can. I'm always there for him. And whatever he decides to do, I'm going to be there for him.
You always try to teach them the best way because they learn so fast in the first couple of years.
For me, it's like a necessity. Like I have to be here, you know. So that's the effect I have. It's like an urgency for me. I can't let a day go by without hugging my son, kissing my son, playing with him for myself and for him. So I would definitely share that with other parents who's not present. Like your kid needs you.
All right, that's the first one.
Okay, Kevin. So you know I got something to say. You know me, Kevin. Now where we going? Now when we gonna hear the real reactions when they found out they was getting ready to be a father?
Come on, Darren. Those were the real reactions. Come on. We talking narrative change, and you gonna say that?
Hey, Kevin. You know I had to get my joke in.
All right, Darren. I'm gonna have to mute you. Here's the next one.
Welcome back to another fatherhood breakdown. Why is baby so
Why
upset?
you upset, buddy?
See, dad's been putting in work, washing everybody's feet. Now baby said it's my turn.
The chair?
Yeah. Now baby's tone is aggressive, his demeanor's all off.
Come on, let's go inside. You want to do it inside?
He don't care nothing about what dad's talking about. Just get on your knees and scrub my feet.
Oh, he's upset. Why are you upset, buddy?
Now this right here is learned behavior. Arms crossed, head down, and the silent treatment. Typical cancer, overly sensitive.
Why are you upset?
So what does dad do? He gets down on Uzi's level and draws baby in, as if to say, don't worry, I'm gonna take care of you, I got you. But baby don't trust dad. He sits inside of the foot spa to let him know that he's ready. But good things come to those who wait. And baby got what he wanted. Okay. I gotta get in between your toes.
So those are our two little videos.
That was nice.
Oh, thank you, Darren. I'm glad.
I approve that message.
Okay, we're gonna go back into breakouts, and I want you guys to think about these videos that we just saw, the dads you just saw. What about these fathers stood out to you? I want you to think about, do these fathers match your internal narrative? Darren, do these fathers match your internal narrative? And why do they match or don't match? And then I want you to think about your organization. How would these fathers be treated if they walk through your agency's doors? And I want some open and honest conversation. You're gonna have about 15 minutes in this breakout. There are gonna be 4 of you, so please share the floor. and allow everyone to speak. Obviously, if someone doesn't want to speak, we're not forcing anybody, but please provide space for everyone to contribute to this conversation. The questions are in the chat. Again, what about these fathers stood out to you? Do these fathers match your internal narrative of fathers, and why do they match, or why don't they match your internal narrative? And then how would these fathers be treated if they walk through your doors at your home agencies? We're going to go into breakouts. You have 15 minutes. And be honest, folks.
You know,
So looks like we're getting a few more. Must be okay. Thanks everybody. I hope you guys had some good conversation. I want to spend a few minutes hearing from you about what it is that you guys talked about. Just to review the questions, what about these fathers in the video stood out to you? Do these fathers match your internal narrative of fathers, and why? And how would these fathers be treated if they walk through your agency's doors? And so the way we're going to do this, if I can get one person from each room just to respond to one of those questions and share a little bit about what you guys talked about regarding one of those questions. Any volunteers? Uncomfortable silence. Otis, go ahead. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so we talked about, well, each organization that was in our group stated that fathers would be welcome. And then we also talked about how attentive we felt that the fathers were. So, I mean, when you have a father-focused organization, or you may be a part of the initiative, then most definitely fathers are very much welcome. But for me, my awakening was when I became a member of the Fathers Corp, Alameda, First Five Fathers Corp for Alameda County, which was my awakening to whatever organization I'm with, fathers like we seen on the video is going to always be welcome.
Thanks, Otis. Thanks, Otis. Anybody else want to share? No? Did you guys at least have some good conversation? Wonderful. All right, I'm not gonna force anybody to share if you don't want to. We're gonna move on. So I mentioned earlier that we conducted focus groups with fathers who were not engaged in the lives of their children. We felt like that group of dads gets talked about a lot and not necessarily spoken with or learned from. So we want to provide fathers the space to kind of share their stories of how they eventually disengaged from their families and from their children's lives. And so we hosted listening sessions and one-on-one interviews with fathers. We also, part of that study was we conducted an online survey of 111 service providers. The whole point of this was to identify the barriers, what fathers saw as barriers to them engaging in the lives of their children. And then also what providers saw as barriers to fathers engaging in the services that they provide. And we can put the link to that the link to that report in the chat. So some of the barriers as identified by providers was, the number one barrier as identified by the providers was conflict with mom and fractured relationships. What we've seen in doing this work is, when that romantic relationship fractures, a lot of times what happens, and for a number of very complex and complicated reasons, a lot of what happens is, are you guys seeing my screen? Were you seeing my screen?
No,
No.
stop sharing.
I'm just talking. Sorry, guys. Told you I've only been doing this for 18 months. Let's try this again. As far as from a provider's perspective, it's conflict with mom. That was the number one barrier. And what we've seen is a lot of times is when that romantic relationship fractures, dad eventually disengages from the family for a number of very complex and complicated reasons. One of the providers shared that some big barriers that came to mind are communication with the mother or whomever has physical custody of the child. And again, this is the provider's perspective of why of the barriers to fathers engaging in the lives of their children. One of the barriers was father's work schedule. This is, again, a barrier to fathers engaging in the services that these organizations provide. If he works a lot, he just doesn't have enough hours in the day to also engage with his child. And when he is home, he is tired. And then also the limited availability of community resources. The Fathers Corps was really born out of that limited availability. I worked at First Five for about 10 years before we started the Fathers Corps. Our organization is focused on improving the lives of children birth to 5 years old and caregivers of children birth to 5 years old. But before we started the Fathers Corps, we had no father-specific programming. And I was a program officer for about 6 years, reviewed hundreds and hundreds of grant applications, and never received one grant application for father-centered or father-specific services. We did have organizations that applied for grants and that we funded that provided services to parents, but for the majority of the folks who were served by those services were moms and children. So the Fathers Corps was really born out of that gap in services. According to the fathers that we spoke with, again, number one barrier was co-parenting. Difficulty in co-parenting. And Otis, can I get you to read that quote for me, please? You're muted, Otis.
Thank you. When she feels good, feel happy, she let me see the kids. But when she gets into that mood swing, it's police, restraining orders, fight for primary rights, full custody. I've been through all that. What's best?
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
What's best is both parents. And if that means going through therapy, then that's the avenue that must be taken. But complete separation and starting from there is unacceptable. It's painful.
Thanks, Otis. So the first one was a 38-year-old Latino father of 4. And the second quote was from a 27-year-old African-American father of 1 whose former partner moved out of state with his son. And so these focus groups and these one-on-one interviews really opened up to a lot of very emotional conversation. So what I will say is 100% of the fathers that we spoke with, now again, reminding you that these fathers are not engaged in the lives of their children, 100% of those fathers was taking steps towards getting involved and re-engaging in the lives of their children. And those steps revolved around, getting in touch with family court, doing anger management classes, or a bunch of different, just various steps that folks were taking, but all of them wanted to be engaged in the lives of their children. And I don't think that's aligned with the society's narrative of disengaged dads. So I just want to put that out there. Another barrier to fathers being engaged, according to the dads, was financial issues. 45% of the fathers reported that finances was a reason why they weren't engaged. Dads felt like if they couldn't provide for their children, that they weren't worthy of being involved in the lives of their children, and that they didn't have the right to be involved in the lives of their children. That's another myth out there, that even if you are unemployed and don't have financial means, you still have the right to be a part of your child's lives. Difficulties providing for their children affected the amount of contact fathers sought. And then 61% of the dads that we interviewed reported that past felony convictions, so involvement with the system, with the criminal justice system, significantly impacted their employability, which led to these financial issues, which led to them feeling like they can't be a part of their kids' lives. Darren, can I get you to read these 2 quotes for me, please?
Yes, brother, not a problem.
Thank you.
My number one issue is financial issues. Not being able to provide for my daughter like I used to provide before I went to prison. I'm not as financially solvent as I used to be. I haven't been really seeking contact because of that. African-American father, 45 years old, a father of 4. And The next one is, man, I've been applying for hella jobs. You know, people say, I can't get you in, I can get you in. And right when they do a background check, drugs. I'm not an addict or anything like that. I stopped that already, but it's my background. I'm a felon. They turned me down. Latino young brother, 24-year-old, father of 4.
Thanks, Darren.
No problem.
This is also from the father's perspective. 42% of fathers reported that child support was a barrier. And we see this daily in our work with fathers. Dads feel like once they build up these huge debt to child support, that it's almost pointless in finding a job. So finding quality employment and making child support payments is challenging. Unsuccessful in altering payments to fit current financial circumstances, and then non-payment and large arrears contributed to conflict and resentment between parents. And I just want to say that we have a very, very close, when I say we, I'm talking to Fathers Corps and Fathers Corps members, we have a very close working relationship with Alameda County Child Support. The director of child support is 100% bought into changing the stigma around child support and changing the perception of child support, and also changing the way that her staff treat their clients. I think it's like 95% of their clients are men, and about the same percentage of their staff are women. So women who have their own personal life and legitimate life experiences that impact the way that they engage and with the fathers that come through their doors that they're working with. So she is 100% bought in on changing that, and we are working with them to do that. So I just wanted to point that out and not let you guys know that this is an issue that we are working on, and the director of child support is on board with that. Abdi, can I get you to read these 2 quotes for me, Abdi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing, everybody? All right. Father's perspective continued.
No. Just the quotes, Abdi.
I got you. Okay. I have a crappy job working at Toys R Us. So even if I'm up at 4 or 5 in the morning, unloading the truck and stuff, when I get my check and open the envelope, I almost want to cry. I work 40 hours a week, and then I look at my check, and it's like $110. I can't live on that. Why should me, being a father, be based off of financial issues? African American man, 45, father of 4. Right? I just feel that the child support thing shouldn't be the most important thing. If you want to if you want to be an active father, you should be able to be an active father. You know what I'm saying? African American male, 26, father of 1.
Thanks, Abdi. Continuing with the father's perspective, legal issues are also a barrier to them being involved in their kids' lives. Many believe that custody decision turned against them due to their criminal records. 48% of those interviewed reported past and ongoing interactions with the criminal justice system. 35% reported restraining orders and other actions related to domestic violence issues, and 32% reported caregivers failing to abide by legal custody agreements. That is something that happens that we see again daily in our work with fathers. Dads feel like they go to court, they fight that fight with the family court system, they get their custody orders, and there's no one there to enforce them. They show up to pick up their child at the assigned time. Mom's not home, grandma's not there, or whoever they're supposed to be picking them up from. And then they feel like there's nowhere to go. They call the police say you got to file with family court. They got to wait another month to get a court date. And it's just an ongoing kind of just cycle of just getting knocked down. And that's what we are hearing from our dads still to this day. Can I get Anthony? Anthony, can you read these 2 quotes for me, Anthony, please?
Absolutely. What I trip off of they bring me the criminal record. They bring up the criminal record in family court. This is just for custody of the child, but it's always brought up as an issue, and it puts you in a bad light. When you go through the court system, it seems like the deck is always stacked against you. Whatever you say gets shut down. It really hurt my heart. African-American male, a father, 44, father of 5. And this one's worth repeating. I know Abdi just said it. I just feel that child support thing shouldn't be the most important thing. If you want to be an active father, you should be able to be an active father. You know what I'm saying? African-American father, 26, father of 1.
Thanks, Anthony. And a lot of dads that we spoke with during this study talked about the lack of role models and support from their own father. So a lot of these dads did not have positive relationships with their own fathers, and in some cases, they didn't have any relationship with their own fathers. So 39% of them reported an absence of their biological father, absence of a relationship, unconnected or abusive relationship with their biological fathers, elicited some of the most emotional discussion. They felt that they were on their own with learning how to be a good parent. Fathers consistently discussed their desire to be better than their fathers. And this is something, again, it remains consistent today. I know that we did this research back in 2015. The dads that we talk to now, literally almost 100% of them, the ones who did not have a positive relationship or any relationship with their dad, talk about wanting to be better than their fathers. And that, again, is consistent with the dads that we spoke with. Otis, I'm gonna go back to you. Can you read these 2 quotes, please?
I didn't know how to be a parent, not because my father wasn't in my life, but I didn't have any examples in my life. I wasn't sure what was going on. So when my kids turned 6 months, I was worried he couldn't walk. I thought he was supposed to be walking. So it was just my lack of knowledge being a parent. I just learned how to do it myself. African-American, 26, father of 2. I'm not trying to be a deadbeat like my dad was. He wasn't there. He didn't teach me how to be a man. The streets taught me how to be a man. African-American, 38, father of 4.
Thanks so much. Again, just this desire to be a good dad, and that's, again, what we see. All of these dads wanted to be a good father, and for a number of reasons outlined in this report and not outlined in this report, they just were eventually felt pushed out in some cases or unworthy in some cases, and so they eventually disengaged from their kids' lives. So I want to go back into breakouts, and I want us to think, before we do that, I just want to point out that a lot of the Father's Core work is rooted in what we learned from these dads. So the idea of starting the Fatherhood Partnership to create father-specific parenting education and support groups was a direct result of learning that these dads felt like they needed support, and also just our knowledge that there wasn't a lot out there. So creating father-specific services that kind of provided space for dads to come together, learn together, and support each other was a direct result of talking with these dads who are not engaged in the lives of their children. Expanding our work with the Father's Core into healthy relationships, healthy co-parenting relationships, is a direct result of our work with these fathers, and also, again, seeing this issue come up on a daily basis. Kids are resilient. Kids can get over divorce and separation. What literally scars kids for the rest of their lives is when their parents don't get along and are constantly fighting and at each other's throats. So the Father's Core is looking to expand our work into some more focused, healthy co-parenting relationships, work groups, and just offering services to help parents navigate that, but also offering services to help providers who are on the front lines working with these families who are in the middle of these very complicated and complex relationships working with them and building their muscle around talking about the importance and reinforcing the importance of healthy co-parenting relationships. Again, a direct result of learning from these dads who have kind of been tossed out. You know, dads who are not engaged are really looked at in an extremely, extremely negative light, not only personally for us as service providers, but our systems look at dads in a very, these dads who are not engaged in a very negative light. And so I just want to shout out to the dads. I know none of them are on this call, but my appreciation for the dads who shared their stories and allowed us to learn and build a program around what it is that they are struggling with as far as being the parents and being the fathers that they want to be. So I just want to put that out there. So we're going to go into breakout rooms now. And I want you guys to go, again, put on your provider hat, thinking about your own organizations and your own role at your organizations. And what can you do in your role to address some of these barriers discussed during today's presentation. And I really want you to spend some time thinking about that. What can you do in your role, but also what can your organization do regarding the services that you provide? Thinking about all of the barriers and all of the information that you just heard and have some conversation. And please come back ready to do some reporting out. All right. Anyway, it's going to be about, I think, 4 of you in a room.
Yes.
The question is in the chat, and you guys are going to have about 15 minutes for this.
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. Again, I hope you guys had some good conversation. And I'm also hoping that you guys are ready to share a little bit about what you guys talked about in your room. So no pressure, maybe a little bit of pressure. If you can please, can I get a volunteer to share a little bit about what you talked about?
I'll talk about what we talked about.
Lonnie, thank you, sir.
Yeah, so we kind of talked about after, the people read the quotes and stuff, our discussion was kind of basically the old adage, meeting the fathers where they are, listening to the fathers to hear what their issues are, and then meeting them where they are. That little simple thing is a big deal, because you have to know what the issue is, and then you have to meet them where they are. So that's what we talked about. So, and then we also talked about like getting our program names out there. That's a lot of fathers don't know that we're out there. So, I feel like networking and outreaching is a big deal to get our names out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we also talked about well, I'll let them talk about, because the library, I'll let them speak on it, the Oakland Library and everything. But that's what our topic was, basically meeting the fathers where they are.
Perfect. Thanks, Lonnie. Anybody else want to share? Go ahead, Devin.
So in our group, I had Anthony from the public library and Adriana from the East Bay Agency for Children, and Katrina from the West Oakland Health Center. And some of the things that we talked about was being sensitive to, what the fathers are struggling with, not judging them. How do we make this better? Adriana talked about inviting fathers to come to their support groups, and that, a lot of times they're resistant. They're mostly attended by women and not attended by the fathers. And some of the reasons, maybe they felt, either embarrassed or they didn't feel like they belonged. Sometimes they feel alone. That was one of the things that Katrina brought up. Oftentimes fathers feel alone, and sometimes the mothers are stubborn. They don't want the fathers there, so they encourage them not to come, or they make it so that they don't come to these support groups. And I talked about the work that we do with men in the criminal justice system, struggling with charges of domestic violence, and how the barriers, prevent them from seeing their kids, and how we try to support them in following the rules, going through the family courts, and getting modifications of certain things, doing supervised visits, just really working with the system instead of against the system or trying to go around the system. But those are some of the things that came up in our discussion. We all agreed that that sensitivity, that wanting to include fathers is a big part of the work to try and get them engaged, and letting them know that it's safe for them to come to support groups.
Thanks for that. And for our fatherhood partnership participants who offer these fatherhood groups, what you name your program, what you name your group is important. Dads may not be as open to a support group. They may be more open to Cafe Dad, or Darren, what was the name of your group? Fathers with Soul, or
Yep.
just a different, just be creative with what you name your, it is a support group. Don't, you know what I mean? They are definitely supporting each other for sure. But for me, when I was a 19-year-old parent, I can tell you right now, I definitely didn't think I needed a support group, even though I probably needed a support group. So what you name your programs is important. Again, judgment, like I said, Devin, that was a good point. Suspending judgment. We don't know what road these guys have taken, what their life experiences have been. Also acknowledging your own stuff, your own life experiences, your own interactions with your own father or your partner, and really spending time reflecting on how that impacts how you engage and support fathers themselves, or how you don't engage or support fathers. Now, I don't want to minimize anybody's life experiences. We all have real legitimate life experiences. But as service providers, we got to do our work so that it doesn't negatively impact how we serve and support the needs of families and fathers in particular. Anybody else want to share? No? Okay, we'll move on.
I wanted to share some. I think
Go ahead,
you hit
Hector.
really important, and it's in setting up and doing fatherhood groups and fatherhood activities is understanding and respecting the culture. Be it the Bay Area culture, be it Black or brown, be it all these things that make us, and being very open and respectful, being very father friendly, using the father friendly principles that Father Court has established. I definitely talked with my agency last year, the year before, and really try to incorporate that. One, having a man deliver service. Sometimes it's really difficult, and sometimes you got to go outside of your agency for that to happen. But culture for me, my background educationally is ethnic studies. So culture is essential in everything that we do. It's a big motivator. We want to feel part of something. We want to be a little bit familiar. And I think that's the problem for a lot of our dads, is that we're stuck in like child welfare, and we go to these agencies that have been historically specific for mothers. And so like we do with our race, we don't see ourselves in that. And so as dads, we have to really, our agencies really have to support and really incorporate the culture of your specific community, be it cultural, be it wherever you are in Alameda County, but you got to make it specific, and culture is essential. That is a big, big consideration for any fatherhood group, or just any service in general to anybody.
Great point. Great point. And I appreciate that very last comment. We need to be considering culture in whatever service you're providing. That's a great, great point, Hector. Thank you for that. Anybody else before we move on? Okay. So part of our survey of the service providers, we wanted to find out what they saw as fathers needing most. And 30%, over 30% reported that father-specific supports and resources are important. We've been offering parent services forever. We've always offered parent services, and parent services have always been available. But dads don't show up to that because for the most part, those parent services have been geared towards and supporting the needs of moms, run by women in a lot of cases. So what providers have found is when we offer father-specific supports and resources, fathers do show up. And now I just want to be clear, just because you started offering father-specific supports for the first time, it may take some time, you know, so you and your leadership needs to be just patient and aware that you may not have a history of engaging and supporting fathers. So just because you offer a program for the first time, that first day, or maybe even that first couple months, you may have some struggles with getting dads to show up. But be patient and build the trust and build those relationships, and dads will come. Fathers' needs are unique. Programs and services must be tailored specifically for fathers, ideally run by men, and then programs and services created intentionally and specifically for dads. And then over 25% of the fathers that we took, the providers that we spoke with, reported that fathers needing parenting education. And that we learned that from the dads themselves as well. They wanted more information about what it means to be a parent and how to be a good parent. So enhancing fathers' knowledge of child development and the important role that fathers play in supporting their child's development was important and needed. Some other needs expressed by service providers is acceptance and acknowledgement. Fathers need acceptance and acknowledgement. Now, I'm not saying throw a party because a dad shows up to your program. That's not what I'm saying. Or you see a dad out, you want to give him a high five for just doing what dads do. That's not what I'm talking about. Co-parenting education and support is critical as well. Like I said, this healthy relationship stuff is a major, major issue that is impacting our families every single day. Mentorship, and then quality employment as well. Hector, can I go to you to read these quotes for me, please?
Fathers need appropriate supports, whether it's an opportunity to talk about their concerns to specific services tailored to fathers. Education, support that specifically focuses on fathers and their role in the family, feeling that they are an important figure, role model in their lives, and their presence is needed and wanted.
Thanks, Hector. And these are quotes from service providers. From the father's perspective, again, these dads that we talked to, they were yearning for father-specific supports and resources. So both providers said that these were needed, and then the fathers themselves also said that. Fathers support groups and parenting classes, and then legal support. Dads expressed multiple times that they felt like they were going through this process of fighting for their right to be a part of their kids' lives by themselves. And their perception was that moms received their perception was as extreme as they felt like they showed up to court and the court provided a lawyer for mom. Now, whether that's true or not, that's what their perception is. Their perception is, again, that mom is receiving all of the support and they are fighting, going through this battle alone. So legal support for custody, child support, and removing felony convictions. Can I go to Darren? Can you read these quotes for me, please, sir?
Yes, brother. The father's got to have support, not just the mothers. In most cases, the father is underrepresented. African-American, 26, father of 1. You've got to dig, and keep pushing in order to get something done. But it seems like everywhere I turn to, they just close the door on a person. The system needs to work for us a little bit. I know we aren't all angels. There's a lot of men that do damage out there, but there's a lot of good men too that care about their children. Latino brother, 47 years old, father of 6.
Thanks, Darren. You gotta dig. Some successful father engagement strategies that we found are, again, from a service provider's perspective, father-specific supports and programming. I can't say that enough. Father-specific services will get dads through the door and engaged. Parenting services will not. And that's not true. Not. You can, but it's a lot easier when you do when you provide father specific services and programs. And then father friendly services. So ensuring that your staff is providing services in a father friendly way, and our father friendly principles are a guide for you with that. So making sure that there are images of dads incorporated into your collateral materials and public spaces, making sure your staff is trained on greeting fathers in a welcoming way and treating fathers in the same way that they would treat mom as they walk through the door, hiring men to provide some of the services that you are offering to parents and families. So these are all examples of offering fathers friendly services. Anthony, can I go to you for these quotes, please?
Absolutely. Activities that are more kinetic or hands-on have helped fathers bond and be more open to hearing feedback and discussion issues and topics. Offering evening services for fathers that include childcare, dinner, and transportation when needed. Father friendly.
Yeah, so offering services, at noon on Tuesday, but they're open to parents. That's not really something that a lot of men or dads can get to. So thinking about unconventional hours of service is another father-friendly strategy. Now, based on our report, some members of the Fathers Court leadership team drafted a set of policy and programmatic recommendations in response to what we learned from those fathers that we talked to. Offer family and father specific services after hours to accommodate the work schedules of fathers. Train family service providers on how to engage fathers and father figures in a father-friendly manner that welcomes full participation, and increase the number of male staff within family service organizations at all strategic levels. So not just the line staff, but we need men in leadership roles as well that help build programs and help draft policy and implement policy. Provide ongoing programs through Alameda County Family Court and family service systems that support fathers and mothers to develop and maintain healthy co-parenting relationships. And we talked to both moms and dads about this. They just feel like there are no services available around counseling and communication between parents. And that is a huge oversight of our system. They feel like the only time they can really get any sort of support is when they go to divorce court and they get mediation, and that is not quality co-parenting support that they're offering there. Adequately fund and staff county expungement resources to remove barriers to employment and housing opportunities for fathers and father figures with past criminal convictions. And then the last four are ensure family service program models funded by and contracted out with county funds include a fatherhood component and are effectively engaging and supporting the needs of fathers and father figures. Require that father-friendly principles be reflected in measurable contract outcomes for family services providers doing business with Alameda County agencies. And I can say we have definitely made some headway on this one. Alameda County Healthcare Services Agency has included father-friendly principles implementation activities into 15 of their county contracts. Social Services has just released an RFP that includes some father-friendly language around ensuring that you're offering father-friendly services and implementing the father-friendly principles. So these are, and First Five has also included father-friendly principles into a couple of our neighborhoods ready for school, not a couple, all of our neighborhoods ready for school contracts as well. So we are seeing some movement on this one. Create an interagency Fathers and Families Council to monitor, propose, and existing policies and practices within the family court system, social services agency, healthcare services agency, and probation. I will say that we have established an interagency fatherhood work group that is focused on the countywide implementation of the father-friendly principles. And then also review the best interest of the child standard utilized by family court staff and the judicial bench to ensure that irrelevant criminal histories are not given undue evidentiary weight by the staff against fathers or father figures. So these are our policy and programmatic recommendations that we as a program are working towards implementing. And before we get out of here, what's our time? We're good. Before we get out of here, I'm gonna replay these videos just because I wanna make sure that we walk out of here with these dads in mind. I think it is critical to our family service system of care that this is the dad that we have it, that these are the fathers that we have in mind when we think about families and services. Because if we're thinking about the negative narrative that is out there, that is far too prevalent in society, then it's no wonder why our services look the way they look, as far as and our budgets look the way they look. And when we go after funding, we apply for funding that is not necessarily, that doesn't include a father-centered or father-specific component. So I just want us to really have these dads in mind as we go into our weekend and as we come back to work on Monday and we start doing business as a service provider.
You don't realize it. He's sucking up everything that you're doing.
I think the proudest moment is just knowing that I'm a dad, like that I was gonna be a dad.
That's mine.
Yeah, that's me.
I feel like a winner, man. I feel like life kind of started when I had that.
Yeah.
Like now I get to slow down and look at stuff and evaluate, and everything matters. Every dollar matters. Everything I do matters.
But it's like the best thing ever, you know what I'm saying? Just to know I have a reason to be in here.
I don't go out. I stay home with my son as much as I can. I'm always there for him. And whatever he decides to do, I'm gonna be there for him.
You always try to teach them the best way because they learn so fast in the first couple of years.
For me, it's like a necessity. Like I have to be here, you know. So that's the effect I have. It's like an urgency for me. I can't let a day go by without hugging my son, kissing my son, playing with him for myself and for him. So I would definitely share that with other parents who's not present. Like your kid needs you.
And then this last one.
Welcome Black to another fatherhood breakdown. Why is baby so
Why are you upset, buddy?
See, dad's been putting in work, washing everybody's feet. Now baby said it's my turn.
The chair?
Yeah. Now baby's tone is aggressive, his demeanor's all off.
Come on, let's go inside. You want to do it inside?
He don't care nothing about what dad's talking about. Just get on your knees and scrub my feet.
Oh, he's upset. Why are you upset, buddy?
Now this right here is learned behavior. Arms crossed, head down, and the silent treatment. Typical cancer, overly sensitive.
Why are you upset?
So what does dad do? He gets down on Uzi's level and draws baby in, as if to say, don't worry, I'm gonna take care of you, I got you. But baby don't trust dad. He sits inside of the football to let him know that he's ready. But good things come to those who wait. And baby got what he wanted. Okay. I gotta get in between your toes.
All right. So that's the end of our training today.